Dear boomers, what is our human purpose? What is your human purpose? What is my human purpose? And I dare say we connect together in trying to make ourselves better people and making the world a better place. Not everybody is doing these things. Not everybody is taking a deep dive into these kinds of questions. But Jean Houston has asked these questions for years. And as I have mentioned, I am taking a course from her, how to be a quantum human, how to access our quantum blueprints, which, of course, we have talked about quite a bit here on this channel, but it is more specific than we realize. We can keep reminding ourselves of the entelechy. As we have discussed, the entelechy is the divine intelligence behind the acorn becoming an oak tree, or the maple seed becoming a maple tree, the weed seed becoming a weed, and the embryo had come from the egg, which then becomes the human. And it's so odd to me that so many people have no idea what it means to be conscious and aware. Conscious and aware. So what does it mean to find our human purpose? In this course, she talks about, Jean Houston does talk about reaching the quantum fields through breath, through feeling, going through the curtain into the quantum field, where we can become divine humans. It's as simple as that, really. So we live in very critical times. This week has shown us that the Republican National Convention is really not unlike any other Republican National Convention, where people are kind of putting the lid on their hate, but some people, given they were supposed to have a unity consciousness thing happen at the convention, and the teleprompters showed the old speech instead of the new speech, which emphasized unity, and they just read the old speech. Okay, I wouldn't be so upset if these people weren't against women, against LGBTQ people, against anything that is alive, really. They're really into money and greed. So, and of course, the Democrats have their own problems. But this is the week where we see the Republican National Convention, and I will no longer watch it. It's as simple as that. So we have to find our own divine purpose. We can't look outside of ourselves for the meaning to what our purpose might be, especially as it pertains to politics. But if the Republicans have a plan to make this country into a dictatorship, then we have to get involved. We have to not just sit back and act like it's not important. Say what you will about Marianne Williamson, who is a spiritual leader in this country. She ran for president, and I admire that because she was like walking into the den of lions, really. So we all have to kind of find our own place in the world. And people are funny about, well, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about religion. Well, these are the things I was brought up to talk about at our kitchen table at a place at 248, we call it. We lived at 248 East Clay Street. And we talked about the human potential. We talked about politics. We talked about Plato, Aristotle, and we talked about philosophy of all kinds. My mother was not educated as far as a college education went, but she was the smartest person I ever knew, really. very, very intelligent, very quick. And this is how we were raised. We were raised to talk about kitchen table ethics. Kitchen table ethics. That's what we were raised to talk about. That my mother had an open door policy. People would come in and we would have people from all over the world come in, people from all races, from all, all people would come in, and we would talk about these things. So the quantum human, as we have been talking about, we have to go beyond these hateful, judgmental, the grievances, these politicians who are hoping to sway this country away from the democracy that we have idealistically aligned with, even though we haven't always been able to do it. And I think a lot of the reasons why is because the corporate personhood passed by the Supreme Court a while ago. We've been complaining about it ever since. But when you look at corporations as people, that was the beginning of the downfall of our democracy. Now we have to pick it back up. That's what we have to do. Whether we can or not is not known at this time. So there's a tension between materialism and spirituality. And that is, people think they have to be either or. There's a balance in all of life. The generosity that we can give from our hearts to the people that we meet every day is very, very important. We need to have a heart full of love and forgiveness, and that raises the vibrations from the heart to the brain, and that is when we can look forward through the curtain of illusion into the quantum potential. When we activate those emotions, gratitude, love, unconditional forgiveness, when we activate those vibrations is when we get into what is our human destiny in this world. What is our human potential? The human potential movement was what we talked about all the time at my mother's kitchen table. I know that being raised in this way is probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Having that foundation of open discussions. Now, of course, we ran into problems in the 1960s and everybody kind of went crazy. Once again, we were focusing too much on our on the outside world instead of trying to develop our inner realms of strength and productivity. So in this lessons that we're learning with Jean Houston, we have 4 more weeks to go, and I will share with you what she says. But the human potential movement is something we can work on within ourselves every day. Everyone we meet, we are kind. Everybody we have connections with, we try and make sure that we strengthen those connections. Very important. Very important. So she talks about the hero's journey, which is actually an idea from Joseph Campbell, and learning to become the hero in our own lives requires a study into the myths that are behind the human potential, are the myths that help us to grow, to be, to follow the dreams that we have. That is the journey of the mythic. The hero's journey is a mythic journey. And myths serve as templates for our own personal development. I have to figure out what is best to read in terms of the myths. Probably Joseph Campbell himself. And when we tune into the myths that are behind our archetypical world, when we study the myths, we learn what it means more to be human and what we can do as human beings to elevate the consciousness of the planet, of the galaxies. We have that potential. So let us use what we have to create a loving world. And I love you all. Oh, there should be a video that shows up right here. Take a look at it and enjoy. Comment below also. We can have a discussion.